It's Easter 2023 and I'm taking a series of journeys from Las Vegas out into the stunning scenery of the deserts and canyons across Nevada and Arizona, from the Fire Valley to the Grand Canyon via the Hoover Dam. Covering 81,000 square kilometres of Arizona, California, Nevada and Utah, the Mojave Desert is one of the driest places in North America, which makes it all the more surprising that it supports the US's 25th most populous city and busiest party town in Las Vegas. It does mean that there are plenty of opportunities to leave the city of sin behind and explore some of the most dramatic scenery in the country. Just 80 kilometres northeast of Las Vegas is the Valley of Fire State Park that covers an area of 46,000 acres and named for the stunning red rocks that dominate the landscape of jagged cliffs and stacks of eroded sandstone and sand dunes that are more than 150 million years old. In the south of the park, the deep red colours dominating the rocks are caused by the presence of high concentrations of iron ore deposits. Further north, the reds and natural yellows of the sandstone are joined by purple streaks created by manganese deposits. The tour I took from Las Vegas first headed north out of the city along the interstate before turning off at Crystal to pick up the Valley of Fire Highway. As we cross the desert, the road slowly climbs 1,000 feet over about 14 miles before a dramatic 400-foot descent down into the valley as you approach the official entrance to the park. The Valley of Fire Highway then runs alongside spectacular red rock formations at the southern edge of the park, and our tour started by riding the whole way along the road to the eastern edge of the park, close to Elephant Rock. The easternmost parking lot, and toilet block, offers views out towards the Mopa Valley and the flatter lands beyond the Valley of Fire. Close behind is the Elephant Rock, a formation that looks uncannily like an elephant with its trunk extended out in front of itself. A short drive away back west along the highway and you reach the historic cabins. These former camping cabins were built from the local stone when the state park was first created in the 1930s, offering accommodation to visitors who wanted to stay overnight in the park, and were in use up until the 1960s. Today, accommodation is only in the designated camping site near the park entrance, but the cabins remain as they were left when they closed for use. Just behind the cabins, carved into the rock, are examples of rock art or petroglyphs left by the ancestral Puebloans who lived in the area between 2,300 and 1,000 years ago. Heading back towards the halfway point from the entrance to Elephant Rock, you reach the Valley of Fire Visitor Centre, located at the foot of the tall rock outcrops and a point where the north-south Moose's Tank Road meets the Valley of Fire Highway. The Visitor Centre has a small exhibition on how the landscape was formed, as well as displays of the flora and fauna of the valley and the risks and dangers that man poses to the ecosystem. Turning north from the Visitor Centre, you travel up Moose's Tank Road along the valley as it cuts its way between two red cliffs with dramatic stone stacks and eroded mountain peaks. Along the way, you may even spot some of the long-term residents of the park as mountain goats balance on the rock ledges as they munch away on the bushes at the side of the road. Moose's Tank Road continues north through the park as the iron ore red of the sandstone starts to give way to a more natural light yellow colour, and then in patches the streaks of purple as the manganese deposits start to come through. The northern part of the park, and the last point accessible via road, is the Fire Wave, an area of rock where uplifting and faulting over millions of years created waves of rock in different strata and an almost alien landscape. From this northernmost point, the tour turns south again as we retrace our steps back along the road towards the next impressive site on the tour, the Fire Canyon. A short walk from the road across a relatively flat desert landscape, and you quickly reach the edge of a small canyon in which the different colours of rocks laid down over millennia are on clear display, with changes in colours coming in bands across and in places up the side of cliffs. Back onto Moose's Tank Road, and the final stop of the tour is at Turtle Rock, where the rocks opposite the parking lot do look a lot like a turtle poking its head out of its shell. It's also from here that you get a stunning view down the Valley of Fire, with a road in the base of it cutting between the red cliffs of the mountains. To the east of the Valley of Fire, beyond the Elephant Rock, the Mopa Valley and the muddy river that runs through it leads down to a rather less natural feature, the massive and man-made Lake Mead, and the cause for it all, the man-made marvel that is the Hoover Dam that sits on the border of Nevada and Arizona. The dam is normally visited, as I did, as part of the day-long tour that takes you one of Arizona's other major sites, the Grand Canyon. Whilst the dam itself is impressive, the landscape does its best to compete on the wow factor, as the cliffs and canyons that help to create the conditions to make building the dam possible show on the south side of the interstate. But it's from the north side, on the westbound interstate, that you get a first view of one of the 7 wonders of the industrial world.
Here it is, the Hoover Dam.
Built between 1931 and 1936, the dam was constructed in part to create a hydroelectrical power plant, in part as a way of controlling flooding from the Colorado River, as a water storage facility for the growing Las Vegas area, and, perhaps more importantly at the time, as a way of creating jobs during the Great Depression, which, given the project was delivered a whole 2 years ahead of schedule, proved to be very effective. From February the 1st, 1935, Lake Mead began to fill behind the dam, and by late 1936 was high enough to enable the start of power generation. Though today the amount of power produced is much lower than it was in the early years. 1983 marked the last time that Lake Mead was at its full depth, and a series of droughts and increased water demand has slowly lowered the level of the lake, a history clearly etched on the rock behind the dam, where the old water levels can be seen from the lighter coloured rock, bleached from the 50 years or so they spent underwater. The Colorado River is home not just to a man-made wonder, but also to perhaps an even greater natural wonder, the Grand Canyon. Carving a 277-mile path through Arizona, the canyon is one of the world's greatest advertisements to the power of water and time. Due to the length of the canyon, only the west end of it can be easily reached by road from Las Vegas in a day, and even here it's over a 2-hour drive on from the Hoover Dam through flat desert landscapes, pistachio orchards, and Joshua tree forests. Before you reach Grand Canyon West, and the main access point for this end of the canyon, on land still owned by the native Wallapai tribe. There are two main areas to Grand Canyon West, the first being Eagle Point, home to a glass-bottom viewing platform and some pretty impressive views across the width of the canyon. Eagle Point is also home to a small museum housing reconstructions of some of the buildings and structures built by the tribes who call this area home. The second visiting area is Guano Point, located at a bend in the river and offering amazing views across the canyon and down into the river thousands of feet below. The area is named for the large cave in the cliffs on the opposite side of the canyon. The cave was discovered to contain thousands of bats, and consequently the floor of the cave was thought to contain vast amounts of bat droppings, or guano, an important ingredient in fertilisers of the time. So, a ropeway was set up across the canyon from this point to the cave to enable the extraction. In the end, it turned out the predictions of what those bats had produced was overly generous, and the mining operations never extracted anywhere near what the shareholders had predicted. The ruined remains, the pylons of the ropeway, are all that remain of the venture. The Grand Canyon and Hoover Dams are accessible by a full day's tour that sets off from Las Vegas before dawn, returning in the early evening. The Valley of Fire tour also sets off from Las Vegas and takes around 6 hours. Harry Reid International Airport is located at the southern end of the strip, less than 15 minutes in a taxi from many of the major hotels, and with regular public transport links into the city as well. The airport is the 8th busiest airport in the USA, and the party capital is naturally a destination for airlines from around the world, with frequent links to Europe, South America and East Asia, and a particular focus for the low-cost and ultra-low-cost US carriers, providing routes across the US, Canada and Mexico.